Thank you and welcome to Conscious Evolution Media. I'm your host, Coach Steve Toth, and I'm also the founder of Conscious Evolution Media. Our website can be found at www.consciousevolutionmedia.com. And we're having an incredible show today. It's something that I think I've been waiting for some time, and I must be ready because it's here. Our theme today is how to expand your consciousness and actually having a tool to help us how to get there. And who we have with us today, our guest is Dr. Drew Neville. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. And Dr. Drew is a higher brain living
national presenter.
National presenter. I can't sometimes read my own writing. And so how did you? Let's get you related to the viewers. How did you get here? Like maybe not today, but becoming one of the few national presenters for this company. How did you, and don't start at birth,
right? Just
start maybe a few years later.
Yeah, a few years later, how I became part of this movement, so to speak, I was aligned by just seeking how to become a better person and how to help people better. That's really what I was doing. My first vehicle was chiropractic. I went through my first 4 years and I got my degree in chiropractic, and it was great. I loved it. I loved what I was doing. And I remember about 5 years after practicing chiropractic, I was sitting on the couch at home.
And what type of chiropractic, by the way? Because there's a...
the technique was Gonstead, just a hands-on technique where you analyze the spine and very simply adjust the spine with your hands. But I remember sitting on my couch very distinctly, not knowing at that point I felt content. And then I was getting these callings, and content isn't necessarily a good word for me. I was getting these messages of, you need to do this, or how about you check this out while Higher Brain Living came on the map. There was Dr. Michael Cotton, the founder of Higher Brain Living, had just recently opened an Awaken Higher Brain Living Center downtown. I showed up, I walked in the door, and the demonstration, to be honest, Steve, was what sold me. I saw this gentleman that had a similar degree as me doing something to a human that I thought possible, but I was unable to create that. And not only was it what I was seeing visually, but when the person sat up and started to share their story, I knew that this was it.
Are you familiar with network chiropractic?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I experienced that in Boulder some time ago, and that kind of blew me away at the time. He had like 6 or 8 people in the room, and he was in the middle.
Sure.
And he moved from one person to another, and the energy in the room, and I was one of the people in the room, but I was actually on the massage table. But the energy was absolutely outrageous. I mean, it blew me away.
Yes.
So
I had heard the same about NSA, and I had also heard that people's experience with that was limiting, meaning it was inconsistently creating a physiological change fast enough for a lot of people. It was a rarity that people were having these awesome experiences and changing their life. They were creating amazing state changes, but a lot of the times what I had heard, people would go back into their life, and the same thing that I was noticing with people I was working is they would come back in doing the same things over and over with the same patterns, not really creating personal transformation and change in their life, which is what I was really striving for, as opposed to banging my head on the wall. Why are only a few percentage of people really truly changing with the work that I'm doing, and the vast majority aren't?
So in terms of being a chiropractor, you gave that up, right?
Yep, I did, completely.
And you're basically doing this.
Yes.
And I'm curious, obviously you walk the talk. I mean, more and more guests of ours that are coming onto the show, I would say 99.9% by now are all walking the talk. And
right.
that's really awesome, because I feel that people's BS meters have developed pretty well out there, and you can't really sell just things that really don't work. So what I'm curious about is, how did this work? Because obviously you've done it. You took how many courses or lessons, or
Well,
how many do people have to take?
Right.
Like 22?
The very first presentation I saw, I got the opportunity to sample of a couple of the sessions of the program that he wanted people to enter into, just to say, you've seen it. Once you feel it, you're going to know that I know what I'm talking about, meaning Dr. Cotton. And so I signed up to sample the sessions. I said, I've done dumber things with my money. If my body can move like that, but my life can change, I'm willing to listen to this guy. And I entered into the program, and my life did start to change. He wasn't lying. And it was one of those, it was almost seamlessly effortless, is things just started to happen. I was getting less chiropractic adjustments. My nutrition protocols were working. I was a bodybuilder at the time, and I gained 15 to 20 pounds of natural muscle over the course of 3 months, which had never happened before. And so those were very, very objective findings. I'm like, I can measure that. And my bank account started to grow because I was adjusting more people. More people were attracted to me. And I believe because what higher brain living leads to, not only a shift of energy in your higher brain, but going through the system and the program, you become more authentic. Just like you said, the BS meter is on. And whether we know it or don't know it, that lower brain,
it's in the energy. It's in the frequency that we vibrate at. I mean, I feel it all the time, and I don't, I live my life now that if it feels good, if it feels right on, I will do it. If it doesn't,
sure.
And that's true with you.
Yep.
You wouldn't be here right now if it didn't feel right for me.
Well, you're right. That's
same thing for you.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
That's a muscle I think we develop because most of the people out there haven't developed the ability to feel, so you speak, right? We overthink, and we use the lower brain structures to do the same patterns over and over, and you have to develop this muscle. And higher brain living develops the feeling muscle of authenticity or truth. Most of us do the same things over and over. That's related. Sameness equals safety to our lower brain patterns. That's something we say at virtually every one of our presentations, is we do the same things and we're not really feeling, we're just consistently doing without thinking or feeling. We just do it. And it's under the conscious threshold.
Right. Yeah, I feel that there's still a very large percentage of humanity, and this is not a judgment by any means, but they're still on training wheels, and they're running around on automatic pilot. If the best way I can really relate to this, and I'm sure you relate to this, is The Matrix.
Sure.
The movie Matrix, has done a fantastic job explaining the blue pill and the red pill, and I feel that most people on this planet are still living because they took the blue pill. They don't really want to know.
Right.
I mean, everybody truly wants to know. I mean, why are we really here? I mean, aren't we here to experience love and to experience joy, which is right behind you, to experience contentment, to be happy, to be satisfied? Isn't that why we're here?
Well, yeah.
Everybody is here for that, isn't it?
I can hear that, and that's the difference, is I'm literally hearing you. I'm thinking it, but I've also felt that. But you're right, virtually, it's not a judgment. The thing is research has shown on multiple levels that we are unhappy, we're unsatisfied. This is a recent research went out, and a study went out, 3 out of 4 Americans feel overrun, completely run over by their life. No meaning, no passion, and the research is out there that tells us that we are not living with more joy, more purpose, more passion. And
it's the opposite is true, actually. They hate getting up in the morning.
Yep.
They hate going to work. And it's kind of interesting because it's what became popular.
Yep.
If you turn on television, commercial television, what has become popular is everybody can get behind what you hate.
Right.
The entire commercial television network, the entire system, is about negativity, is about crime, is about anything that you can present that's really put you in fear. Isn't that interesting? Sure. So I'm curious, before HBL, what was Dr. Drew's life like, and what did you think that you were missing?
My life before I ran into the Awaken Center was 6 days a week, getting up in the morning. Really, I did love my life. I was kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. I didn't feel broken. I felt pretty awesome. I felt fortunate. I felt very privileged. I had an amazing upgrowing. My parents were awesome. They gave me everything I needed. But I got up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I was adjusting people. As a chiropractor, I was working out with passion.
And you felt that was your purpose?
There's absolutely no doubt. I didn't enter into the Awaken Center thinking I was going to change the direction or what I was doing or my vehicle in life. It wasn't until well into the program, almost through the 22 sessions, that I went through what we call in Higher Brain Living, now I know, the discovery of the authentic self. And I wish I had it here, but I can remember what I wrote. I look at it frequently on my old map, and it said, I feel really drawn to Higher Brain Living. I don't know why, but I feel like it's my calling. I still love chiropractic, but it's not as sticky as it was for me. And lo and behold, 1 month later, Dr. Cotton put out an event form saying, would you like to learn how to do this amazing technique and own an Awaken Center? And I said, me, yes, for sure. And then I got scared because that meant my whole life was going to change. But that's what I was doing. I really liked my life. Like I said, I was content. I was a young doctor. I was making good money. I bought a house. I had the car. I had the dogs. I liked my life.
Would you say that you were operating within your comfort zone?
Absolutely.
And what did this call you to be? This new thing?
More.
Did it put you?
Gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, me too. Right now.
Way more.
Did it put you out in your comfort zone?
Way more than I could even expected.
And this is what I really want the viewers to hear: is that in order for us to grow, we have to get involved with things that takes us outside of our comfort zone.
Yes.
You know, I did that 10 years ago when I started this network. This totally took me outside of my comfort zone because I grew up in a communist country where I was beaten every day for speaking out.
Right.
Now, can you imagine living that way for like 10 years? What would it be like for someone like me to speak in front of a group of people?
Frightening.
It was not possible. I thought people were going to beat me up.
Right.
So I didn't want to. You know?
Look at you now. Everybody
now it doesn't matter.
Us.
Now it doesn't matter because I got over it. But you know, the very first time I remember when I was on commercial radio, they didn't do any training, by the way. It's just I went to the studio. They sat me down. They said, "Here's your phone. Here's your mic. Here's the TV screen. This is how you know who's calling." And their name and what their question is, and good luck. And then she walked out the door, and I went like, oh my God. And I had like a minute, and my mind was going crazy. It was going like, okay, so I either do this, or I don't do it, and if I don't do it, nothing will change. You know, I'll be back within my comfort zone.
Right.
And the pressure was enormous. It was so much that I said, oh my God, I got to do this because I'm ready. I'm ready to change.
Right.
And I did it.
And most people don't get to that point in their life. And that, unfortunately, that those opportunities knock once. And if you don't take the call, typically they go away. And life, like you said, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And that's really where it is, right? Is when you get to that razor edge. That's really where you start living, and a lot of us get, like you were saying, into our comfort zone. All of that frames around our brain structure. Our brain has layered over the course of years, and the lower brain loves the same patterns and the same things, and it evolved in a predator-rich environment. And now our modern world, as opposed to saber-toothed tiger predators, is the TV show going to start on time? How is the traffic? Is my husband or wife sick? Are my kids sick? What's the performance review at work look like? Those are all tigers to the lower brain, not allowing us to get to the potential of where we are, which the seat of that energetically is in our higher brain. Research has shown that. And Andrew Newberg is a medical doctor in Pennsylvania, says awakening, and not awakening getting up and having your cup of coffee, but awakening is primarily due to a fundamental shift in brain dominance from lower brain to the prefrontal cortex or the higher brain.
When you say higher brain, are you talking about the frontal lobe?
Exactly. When we say higher brain, we're specifically talking about the prefrontal cortex and the ability to get more potential there and more energy there. The thing is, we have all had glimpses. Some of us get big glimpses and long glimpses, but for the most part, we know that humanity is using just a fraction of the potential of our newest, latest brain that allows you to feel more confidence, more joy, to see abundance in the world, and to turn off the television and to not worry and focus on the news, to perpetuate those same pathways. It creates new pathways and new opportunities, and higher brain living has specifically cracked the code in a technique, very unique technique that causes a surge of energy into the higher brain, and then we map out your life from a higher brain perspective where you can see change, not lower brain. And that's where a lot of things are missing it.
I'm having a hard time just staying in my skin right now. So let's pretend for a moment that we're back in the Matrix, okay?
Okay.
And you just offered me the blue pill and the red pill, and I'm gonna take the blue pill. So show me how deep does the rabbit hole goes with this.
With this, well, the sky or the universe is the limit. So how deep does it go is it opens you up to having to deconstruct almost everything that you know. And that can be very, very, well, it is.
All of your beliefs?
It can, right?
Somebody else's beliefs that you took on? Was you wrong?
Yes. I was just having a very specific conversation around that today about beliefs and whose are they? Are they your beliefs? If you could, not even with higher brain living, if you could stop, it was a gentleman, Zach Polfus, is a friend of mine and does higher brain living with us too, is he was mentioning that he was asked a question, if not higher brain living, what would you say to do? And it was pretty profound because I got to listen to what his answer was. His answer was that. Stop and really observe your thoughts and your beliefs and really look back and say, are those really mine? And so what higher brain living...
And is it really true?
And probably not. And that's what we find out, probably not. Harvard researcher just went and found out 85% of all medical practice is non-scientific at all. What we call truth science, a lot of us, most of the stuff that they're delivering in the medical paradigm, but for better or worse, is not even scientifically based, which is profound, right? And so yes, higher brain living opens you up to your true authentic self, which when you scrape away all of the protective mechanisms that we've created, all of these things that we do to avoid getting up and living an amazing life, it opens you up to observing that from not being in it to stopping and getting outside and observing it from a view of, we call it the 50,000 feet. And when that happens, the most amazing, profound things can happen because it's not just happening to you. You get to be part of it, coexist with it.
So is this going to give access to, let me start here. Is it like pressing the reset button on a computer?
We use that analogy a lot.
And we haven't had this conversation.
Right, you're right. We use that a lot is the mechanism, there's latent properties, emergent properties in the higher brain that are waiting to be accessed, and that's what the technique does. And when the higher brain turns on, what we have found out is two very specific things that you'll see in a little demo that we're going to be doing. One is a spontaneous breath, and the spontaneous breath is the higher brain engaging, creating more oxygen and blood flow. The second thing that we see is a movement is like the higher brain says, well, I'm getting energy, this feels good. Let's hit the reset button and dump all this stress mechanism that has been going on and holding us back. And it dumps it out. And what we find is the body starts to move and release stress, allowing more energy to move through the body in the most amazing ways. And even though we don't use this as a therapy or a therapeutic mechanism, what we find out with people that are getting higher brain living is they are hitting the reset button, dumping all the stuff that's holding them back without having to talk about it, point at it, look at it, and
reliving it.
And reliving that. To be honest, I think we don't have to. I could say something else. We don't have to do that anymore. The higher brain living higher brain energy can become an incinerator to all that crap. letting the lower brain take a break, a much needed break, because most of our unconscious threshold goes through the lower brain strategies, which is the lower brain strategy is stressed. And the mechanisms of stress are fight, flight, freeze. How about hoard? Think of the hoarding mechanism just in the American culture, right? Mine, mine, mine. The universe, the world is limited. My money. We have people that have billions of dollars that are scared of losing their billions of dollars, and people that are. So you get it. And so higher brain does hit the reset button.
So let's move to a more recent movie, Lucy. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay. Well, you know what the movie is about.
Yes.
Right. So, question. When somebody takes on HBL and continues with it, like does 22 sessions or more, what's possible? And I'm referring to the movie because people can relate to the movie. A lot of people have seen it. So what's happening in the movie is the actor gets more and more conscious. And how that shows up is that she's able to move physical objects. Then she's able to stop people cold. Then she's becoming energy, and at the end of the movie, that's what you end up seeing is she's becoming energy itself.
Sure.
And she basically appears everywhere, which refers to our oneness.
Yep.
So how do you relate that experience to HBL, and how does Hollywood know about all this stuff anyway?
Good question, and I was going to say good drugs. What happens is our brain, the parts of the brain that we've been able to measure for years and years, the lower brain structures, is to form components or compartments around things and create reference points and separation. So like you and I are separated, but if you look at quantum aspects, we're not at all. We're all one. And so as you tune the receiver, the higher brain, the frequency or the energy of it, it allows for more consciousness, whatever that even means to you. There's multiple levels of it, the world seems more real. And I would say, when I say more real with higher brain perspective, is less fragmented, less separate, more together, unlimited abundance, unlimited connection. And that's missing everywhere.
So how do you measure consciousness anyway? Do you know?
I don't. I guess that's a good question. How do I measure it, or how does higher brain?
How does anybody on this planet measure consciousness? Like at what level? I mean, I am at a level, I don't know how. I don't have the answer. But the level that I'm at, and I don't know where that is, if there's a scale, is that I'm just able to stop the conversation immediately whenever I want to. That doesn't mean that I don't get out of consciousness, because I do all the time. I'm in and out. But when I want to, like right now on the show, I am so present with you, and I don't have the conversations going on in my head. Like there's no talking.
They've done numerous studies in numerous cultures looking at core values. That's one thing that we talk about at high levels when we go to higher brain living training and higher brain living retreats. But there is a difference of our conscious values that have developed over the course of about 50,000 years, dating way back to their 50,000 years, as egocentric, it's just me, develop into an ethnocentric, let's build tribes and let's gather, to an achievement orientated, let's gather these tribes and start to work towards goals and common goals, to now what's emerging is more connectedness, and not just saying it's not just about me and you because we look alike, but it's about other things, and other things can be the world, even the universe, down to animals and the environment and human rights. And that's been measured over the course of years and years and years. And it's well known that we are at a tipping point that we're actually ready for another emergence. And that's a conscious emergence. And we believe that, and when I say we, Higher Brain Living believes, and there's a lot of other theories out there, and theorists, the lead theorists are saying it's linked to higher brain potential. It's linked into the higher brain, and we also say the heart. The prefrontal cortex and the heart merging together for the first time, not just opening the heart for the sake of opening the heart, which lots of research knows that that's its own neurological, own brain, so to speak, that feels different. When you combine that with the higher brain, that's consciousness starts to just look different. You start to relate different, and it's not about competition. It's more about cooperation, and it's about knowing that we have unlimited access to consciousness. And how do you measure that? We've measured it over tons of cultures and in different areas. And so, where did you grow up? You said you grew up in Hungary, right? So where's their level of development and their world views? It's very limited and confined to here. It's about me, it's about us, it's about power, and it's right here.
It's about power and control.
Power and control power is a good thing when it's put into the right frame.
Right context.
And it's the morals and values that are missing in a lot of them it's just about me.
So we're going to continue this interesting conversation, but in the meantime, you're going to do a demonstration. So would you like tee that up for us, what to expect?
Yeah, absolutely. So I typically like to do two, but I know we're limited. So we're going to do one demonstration with Liz Beth. Liz Beth has had numerous sessions. She's gone through a Higher Brain Living program. So a Higher Brain Living program is 22 sessions. Each session is 45 minutes long that you go into a facilitator, and they start to work with the pathways of the body that you're going to see me cueing in a brief moment. And the physiology changes during the session. Well, with each session, there's a correlate of a step to do or work to do outside of your 45-minute session before you come in for your next weekly session. Eventually, in a few sessions, you're able to access your higher brain on your own and start to reference your life from that. So this is going to be a very condensed session, and her body is ready to accelerate to this point. The breath that you're going to see in her happens in, when I say virtually everybody, almost everybody I've ever had on my table, and I've never had one personally not have the breath develop. And the breath is a sign that the higher brain's on. You're going to also see a wave-like motion in her body, which is dissipating stress. And she's not thinking about any of these. And I want to point this out as you're going to watch this in a moment. Lizbeth isn't going to think about what's going to be happening in her body. She's not making it
So it's
happen.
completely involuntary.
It's involuntary. It's spontaneous. But what we've found with this unique protocol in the technique, we're using the body's energy that has been known for thousands of years, that if you can access different body systems to create different energy. And it's been called the numerous things, and there's numerous techniques. Higher Brain Living specifically has found this protocol to get access to the higher brain, and then we make sure we give the higher brain something to do.
Awesome. All right, so when we come back, we're going to be asking specific questions of Elizabeth. Did I say that right? Elizabeth.
Lizbeth.
Lizbeth.
That's okay.
Okay.
Nobody's
and also, Dr. Drew, we're going to ask specific questions. How does he do what you do?
Perfect.
And we'll just take it from there. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, everyone. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a very condensed Higher Brain Living session with Lizbeth. Higher Brain Living sessions are 45 minutes long, and we do those in a program, as we were mentioning. We're going to condense this for the demonstration so you all can see what we're talking about. As the higher brain starts to engage, the first thing that you're going to see in Lizbeth develop is this breath. It's a spontaneous, automatic breath that she's not voluntarily trying to take. What you're going to also see with Lizbeth is a wave-like movement. As the higher brain starts to get its own energy, it dissipates stress in this automatic, involuntary wave. It's going to be absolutely mind-blowing for you out there when you see this. This is what we commonly see with our clients. So, hi, Lizbeth. How are you?
I'm awesome.
Good. As you were mentioning, you were ready for this little demonstration, right?
I am so excited.
I'm so excited, too. So we're going to be putting Lizbeth through a couple positions. We're going to start her face down. I'm going to be cueing these pathways, and the higher brain's going to turn on. And it's going to be absolutely mind-blowing. So go ahead, go face down, Lizbeth. What I want you to just take notice of is just how her body is just resting there very naturally. As I start to cue these pathways, this is going to happen quite rapidly. She's had numerous sessions for this to happen. This is commonly what we see as the care starts to develop in our people. If you start to listen, you're going to hear her breath change and expand through her body. Wow, that was quick. That breath that you're listening to, if you can hear that, that is a breath from the higher brain getting its own energy and creating its own automatic breathing, pumping mechanism, getting more oxygen through the body, more blood flow into the higher brain. We've been measuring this with EEG, and it's absolutely blowing the minds of the people that are measuring this, seeing brain states that they've never seen before. You start to hear that again, that breath, and this movement, that visually that you're seeing, that is a sign too that the higher brain's getting energy, more oxygen, more blood flow pumping through the body, and then it's also finding a way to dump stress through this movement that you're seeing in Lizbeth. That breath is the first sign that we see in virtually 100% of our clients on the very first session. That's how consistent this technique is. We've cracked the code. The higher brain's getting more energy, creating more oxygen and blood flow through itself through this pumping breath. And it's also dissipating stress, allowing more oxygen and blood flow to come up into the higher brain. All of this is happening because we're cueing the body in very, very specific ways with a very specific amount of pressure, very specific sequence. And we're seeing this happen consistently. The coolest part about this is when the higher brain's on, their life can change. It's pretty cool because this is in all of us. What you're seeing in Lizbeth outwardly can happen to all of us as our higher brain starts to get more energy. Lizbeth, I'm going to have you turn over on your back, head to this end over here. With very gentle touches and very specific pathways, the higher brain's getting more energy. It's also allowing that physical stress to dump out, and the structure starts to change too. All of this is waiting for us in our higher brain. Truly revolutionary. And it's an involuntary, spontaneous mechanism waiting in our higher brain. As we mentioned earlier, that if you want anything to change in your life, or if there's anything that is in your life that isn't how you would like it, you need to get energy in your higher brain and look at it from a higher brain perspective. And this physiology that you're seeing in Lizbeth isn't just unique to her, it's in all of us. I don't know if you can see her face, but she's getting that smile, that happy smile of the higher brain. You can see that.
That's good.
Did you hear that? It feels good, she says. I want you to watch as that respiration breath pumps and builds through the chest. It's like a three-dimensional expansion. She's not having to consciously think about it. It's happening automatically. And this is just the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Elizabeth and Dr. Drew. This was absolutely amazing. Wow, what an experience. So I'm sure our viewers are really interested in what were you feeling while Dr. Drew was working with you?
Well, it really feels amazing. The energy is quite profound, and I feel an energy surge start in my spine, and then my body just responds. It just wants to breathe very, very deeply, and the breaths are very long. And so I just go with it. I just allow it to happen. Whatever I feel is coming up, I just allow that to happen. And my body just starts to want to move in these certain ways. It's not like I can't stop it. It's not like something's taking over me and making me move that way. It's just that my body feels this urge to move in a certain way. And a lot of this expression of like...
And you were aware of everything.
Oh, yeah. But I'll feel an urge to just move in a certain way, and I follow that urge, and then my body just goes further in that direction. And it's a lot of allowing and surrendering to what's coming up within me.
Interesting. And how long have you been doing this?
Oh, gosh. When did I have my first session? A little over a year ago.
Okay. And how did this change your life? I mean, what was Elizabeth's life before, and what is it like now?
Yeah, great question. So, you know, I had a pretty good life. I was pretty happy. I had a lot of good things going on. And I've been on kind of a personal development, spiritual development path for a while. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of us are junkies.
Yeah. And and probably like you, like I've explored a lot of different
30
things.
plus years. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like lots of personal development, spiritual development, classes, books, energy work, things that help you think differently. Yeah, because we think that all the answers are out there somewhere. Yeah. That's the thing. This is organic. This is like inside of us. It's like awakening an energy that's inside of us that ends up shifting your perspective. What I found is things just became different. It's not me trying to shift.
How did they become different?
Well, it's not me trying to shift my train of thought or take on or putting effort into having a different emotion when it arises. I just don't have those same emotions. I live at a different level. My perspective on things from the past, present, and future have shifted.
How? How did it shift?
I can look at past relationships that would have a certain opinion about. I see them differently now. I enter into a situation.
Do you have an example that you could share?
An ex-boyfriend?
Yeah.
How's that?
That's good. Don't name him.
I won't name them.
Okay.
But, you know, like say you go through an experience that might not have ended a certain way. You have a certain perspective on it. It shifts. I don't see it the same way. I don't think
like you had judgments, maybe?
Judgments. I don't take things personally. I don't take things as personally. I don't have the same things that I would react to. I don't react to. Traffic, things like that. So
would you say that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but your mindset has changed?
My mindset has changed. Okay. I can say that I am less reactive. Things just roll off my back. I'm less ruminated. This is the big thing for me, and I didn't realize it was going on as much until it faded away. But that ruminating, self-defeating talk, that chatter that can say things that will bring you down.
The one I was talking about, that it's not going on with me anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm not in your head, but in my head, I can tell you. I can tell you.
In relationships, don't we want to get into each other's head? Is what we try to do. Like we think, I think that's funny about human beings. We think that we can get into somebody else's head and maybe even read what's going on in there. I have a challenging time just to figure out my own, not alone somebody else's.
Right. Our reality tunnel. Our reality tunnels are pretty interesting, right? And we try to put everybody in that.
Yeah.
Well, I can say with that type of mind
chatter. So what is your stress? What is your stress level right now? These days?
I'm feeling pretty good. Well, yeah, I don't react. Well, my phone died on the way here, and I didn't know where I was going. I didn't have the Google map to go. It's like, I can handle this. I didn't freak out. I just handled it, and I got here.
So would you say that what's different is that if your phone wasn't supposed to die, it wouldn't have. But it did.
Oh, I just had,
and instead of getting ticked off, instead of getting ticked off,
I see.
and getting all upset, right?
I didn't go
you took the high road.
This is there's a meaning to this. I just went into, I can handle this, and I did, and I got here.
Next,
but,
like next.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny. It's like, oh, of course, all right, I can handle this, and I'll get there. But I just wanted to add to that, the whole part about that self-defeating chatter. I didn't realize how much it was going on until it was quieted. That was the big thing for me. I felt like, looking back, it stole some of my joy. That self-defeating chatter was dampening my experience in my life, but I didn't even realize it was going on until it was gone. So that was a big thing for me. I thought I was, super happy and had good things, and I did, but now things are even better.
Right.
Interesting. All right. So, wow. So where do you think this is going? Like, how far will you take this? What's next for you?
With me personally?
Yeah, with this work, with HBL.
Yeah, well, it's untapped potential, so we really don't even know what we're missing, and it's unlimited. Well, for me, I have, I live my life differently from a different perspective, as I was saying, and I've opened a Higher Brain Living Center. I'm now a facilitator. I love it. The most rewarding thing is seeing the changes that is happening in my clients. And it's interesting because they will go through the same things, the same steps that I went through when I was going through the program.
Awesome.
Yeah, it really is awesome. I hope you try it.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth.
Oh, you're welcome.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your
you
feedback.
had to make it because you had the table. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so back to Dr. Drew. So what I was noticing as you were doing this, you were working with her.
Sure.
Is that your hand motions were very, very elegant, which to me, that translates that you've been doing this for a while. Because you can't move the way you move unless you had a lot of experience. And I'm sure that your previous experience is part of this because you were a chiropractor and you worked with your hands before. So there's a certain elegancy about how you move. But then you touched certain portion of her body, and we want to know more about that, I think.
Well, let's start off by, we're all here where we're at today, right now, because of our previous life experience. It all leads us to new opportunities. And chiropractic was just one thing that I was doing. I was doing many things. And so the elegance that you see is also 5 years of doing higher brain living. And so I've seen thousands of clients, and I've also been an integral part of teaching around 255 facilitators that we are able to teach, and most of them are chiropractors, almost none of them are. A lot of them don't have any prior hands-on skills of laying it on the human body. Many don't at all. So the best thing about what Dr. Cotton created was the ability to teach this unique technique to people that don't have years and years of hands-on experience, and to create the similar and very consistent physiological change in the body. So that's part of it. We do have a training program now that we've, like I said, trained about 255 or a little more in this whole process of taking people through the 22 sessions and applying the Higher Brain Living Guidebook. So what you were seeing is, let's just talk about the body energy systems that have been known for thousands of years and been called many things, from chi to ki, even kundalini or subtle energy systems, and they've used the chakra systems, right, exactly, and many different called acupuncturists, yogis, yogi mystics, chiropractors, and that Reiki practitioners, multitude of people have been tapping into the body system, creating certain outcomes, right? A lot of the times they're inconsistent, or they're not about transforming somebody's life. They're about making their life feel better where it's at, not giving them a completely different perspective.
That's what drugs do.
What's that?
Make you feel better temporarily.
Exactly.
They're treating the symptom, not the core.
Right, and I would say if your soul...
So what's the core, really? What is the core here that we're after?
Your authentic self.
Because our entire network is really about taking people in there.
Exactly.
The answers are all within us.
As I mentioned before, is they are in the heart. But what I also would contend to say is, if the heart opens before your nervous system or your higher brain is flexible, it's apt to shut back down or hurt you. You need both, not one. It's a dual system. It's higher brain energy with heart energy. And yes, I agree 100% is there's answers in our heart that have to be done through the higher brain, and vice versa. They inform each other. And it's about what higher brain living is. It's about finding on an individual level, whether you're coming in for a program, is who you are on this planet and who are you for humanity. What's your gifts and your potential so you can live that fearlessly authentic life or courageously authentic life. And that might be like Lizbeth opening an Awaken Center, or it might be finding out that you're just going to be you're going to start a show like this.
Whatever it is that makes your heart sing is what I say.
But not by random chance. And that's the difference between higher brain physiology is genetics or evolution or whatever has been, a lot of it's just been random chance. Well, we know now it doesn't have to be. Our thoughts are mechanisms that determine the outcomes of our future. And that is well known now. And so it's very important to manage where your thoughts are coming from and how your action steps are. Because your choices now are a mechanism to what happens to everything.
Right. So what are those specific points that you were touching, Elizabeth? What are those?
The specific points, so Dr. Cotton, arduous journey in 30 plus years of human
I'm just asking the question differently.
I'm just
asking the question differently.
What we're touching into, the pathways are connective tissue, and connective tissue is energy dense with crystalline fibers, and they're piezoelectric, which means when they are compressed or stretched in a specific way, in a specific sequence, they create a surge of energy that is nonlinear to the amount of energy put into it. And that's been well known. That's why, for example, an acupuncturist can stick a tiny needle into a little area and create a change in physiology in an organ system. Well, these are energy-dense system is the connective tissue. And we know that when you start to do this sequence, that it causes the higher brain to wake up, so to speak, and create its own feedback mechanisms. So those are the pathways that we're talking about. We call them higher brain pathways.
And where does the sequence come from?
Well, many, many different protocols from Dr. Cotton looked at numerous things. And what he started to do is peel away the truths, which were small in most of them, and leaving all of the other stuff that is just piled on into certain techniques. And you had mentioned NSA. That was one small little thing that he had done. But he had also studied numerous yogi mystics and numerous different energy systems, many different quasi-chiropractic and systems of how you tap into the body. And what he found out when he started to create this sequence, the phenomenon that you saw in Lizbeth was consistent.
Okay.
But to change your life, you have to apply that energy, and he married that into a very specific guidebook.
So would you say, is this the only solution to opening up people's consciousness? Is this
that would be silly to say. I would say I'm going to be.
It's a test question.
I'm going to be attached to not the only way. Of course, there's numerous pathways. That's what evolution does, is throw out numerous pathways. Right now, I think it is the best. The quickest way to access higher brain energy and apply it to your life. I honestly do. That doesn't mean that there's not other technologies out there that are looking towards this. But this system and this technique, I don't see anything right now that has this amount of potential. But it's non-competitive. You feed other things into the higher brain, whether it's doing yoga or going and doing a specific dance or going into a meditation. And we've proven that over and over and over and over with our clients, is it actually catalyzes anything that's good for them that they're doing. It's exponential because the physiology is there for it to work.
So who's the perfect candidate for this experience?
Well, the perfect candidate, in my personal belief, is somebody who has a lot of potential and knows that they have potential and wants to access more of it. And that's our demographic, is they're conscious seekers, so to speak. The people that, anybody can do it, but the best clients are the ones who are consciously seeking out this type of work. And you'll see them in, well, your studio. You'll see them in yogi centers. You'll see them seeking out in Whole Foods. And you'll see them consciously consuming different things. It's a conscious consumer.
Well, I mean, there's just so much available out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in a way part of the problem now, is that one of the
inundated.
One of the unintended consequences, I say, that happened because of the internet and because of all the information that we have available and all the different sciences and tools that we have available, is that there's too much of it and people just don't know. So a lot of people go on this journey like I have.
Sure.
I tried a lot of things, and I was just searching out there. And until I kind of realized that the answers are all in here. So I stopped searching. I stopped going out there. And I just developed what I developed for me within myself. But that took whatever it took.
Years.
And it took a long time.
Yeah, years
and
to get there.
I don't say that I wouldn't say that that's the only way. That's just my way.
Yep.
But my way was not. I'm a slow learner, obviously.
Right.
So if there's systems or tools like this where people can actually quickly get to what they need to get to, which is the truth, their own truth, I'm for it.
Well, and I agree. And our system really helps develop that in a specific strategy that's been proven over 100,000 times now, and that's part of it. The Dalai Lama recently stated that he's meditating around 4 hours a day. He said, if I could find something that was quicker, I would do it. Right?
Yeah.
Well, here it is.
Obviously. Yeah.
I think,
if I knew something quicker, I would have done it.
It gets your meditation practice, for example, even deeper. So it's the systems and the strategy of not just getting the physiology in the higher brain. There's many things that can do that. There's also many maps out there, but when you marry those together, we've created a very unique system that it really excels at. And so the best way, to be honest, to find out if it works for you is to experience a session and commit to a 22-session program. And you'll tell us. I mean, there's assessments throughout the 22 sessions that will tell you, are you growing?
All right. So other than what's coming up for you Monday, people can obviously come to our website at consciousevolutionmedia.com, and they can find out about you and about what you do. And the videos will be on a specific page about Dr. Drew. So I'm looking forward to continuously finding out what it is that you do and how you do it, and maybe even have my own experience with it, because it's certainly intriguing. I heard and seen and experienced plenty of stuff that does resonate with me, and I hope it resonates with a lot of the viewers as well. So this has been an awesome experience with you, and also with Lisbeth. So thank you very much, both of you, to be here.
Well, likewise. Thanks for inviting us.
And you're very welcome. And if there's anything that Dr. Drew said or done, or I have said or done, or Beth has done, she answered a whole bunch of interesting questions, which some of it was personal. So thank you so much. But if any of this has touched, moved, and inspired anybody out there, please go to consciousevolutionmedia.com and continue to engage with us, and keep coming back to these incredible shows, because we've done this now for over 10 years and well over 15,000 shows. So, we developing that elegance that you developed, I hope, with your hands, and it was really impressive. It really. When you started to work with Lisbeth, I just want to say this because I didn't have a chance to say it, is I started to have goosebumps, and I don't know what that means. I really don't care what it means,
right.
Other than I know that when I start getting goosebumps, I know whose presence I am in front of.
Right.
That's all I know.
Well, thank you.
So thank you so much, and you've been fantastic, and I love you all, and we'll see you on the next edition of Conscious Evolution Media TV. Thank you all.